Hello everyone, it's Lennon. Welcome to the channel. Today I want to review Journey to the Dark Goddess by Jane Meredith. It has been a long time coming, okay? I don't know why I haven't picked this book up before now, and there are a lot of reviews on YouTube for you to check out. However, I wanted to put my 2 cents in, and I was actually asked to put my 2 cents in. So here we go. Let me just say, right off the rip, my initial review is 4 out of 5. Okay, not that I like to rate my books, because sometimes it might be a 3, sometimes it might be a 5, depending on my mood. So I don't really like to rank books like that, but I would say it's a good 4 out of 5 at this moment in my life. Okay, the way that's set up is literally, quite literally, a journey to the Dark Goddess, and I have highlighted and gone through this thing. Here's the thing about books like this. I'll even extend that to witchcraft books specifically. When you get books like this that have rituals and meditations in them, what I do is I read the whole thing through, skip over the rituals, maybe I'll even read the rituals, but I'm not going to do the rituals at the first initial read, okay? And then I kind of like put a star, because I'm very severe with my books. So I write and highlight and I don't give a shit, okay? So I'll put like a star next to a ritual that I really, really like, or some kind of asterisk or something next to something that I want to try but I want to change. Because sometimes I'll see a ritual and I'll like it. I mean, the premise is good. The intention is good, I'll say, because mostly in terms of a meditation or a ritual involved in books like this, there's an intention behind it, like meeting the Dark Goddess, you know, in whatever capacity, whatever part of the journey you're on. So I'll read the whole thing through, right? And then I'll go through again and do the note taking, like the starring and highlighting of things that I want to do when I go through a journey like this. And then I might transcribe some of the rituals to something else, or record myself reading the rituals after I've changed whatever it is I want to change. So that's how I approach books like this. So this is like the 3rd run through of this book, and I can finally say that I'm pretty good at the review, or I'm pretty adequate to review it. Okay, I guess I'll say. Now, like I said, it's set up like a journey. You prepare for the descent. The journey herein is the journey to the underworld. As someone who I believe, has already done journeys to the underworld, I go there for my witchcraft anyway, and I have before I even picked this book up. I like how Jane tells us that it can be done, and she even goes through some, like, you know, like personal accounts in times where she's thought she's done this and then she's been halfway, or she's done it kind of half-assed, you know, and it's like the way not to do it. I like that, because it's kind of teaching us in a roundabout way that when we feel this and this, it might be because we haven't done the full thing. You know, we're still engrossed in this section and we haven't really come out the other side. So I like how that's done in this book. So part 1, we're preparing for the descent. Okay, we're talking about mapping out the underworld, which is one of my favorite sections. I love the fact that I'm a pirate girl. Okay, I love pirates, I love treasure maps, blah blah blah. Okay, if you've got my first Oracle book, there's a lot of piratey things in there. Storms in bottles, messages in bottles, treasure maps, mermaid maps. There's a lot of pirate imagery in there, which I didn't notice on the first run through. But like looking back in hindsight, it's kind of weird that, you know, that's an archetype that plays heavy in my life. But I like the fact that she maps the underworld. She's giving us an incentive to map out our own journey, right? And to change it up. Like I said, we can change it up depending on how we already do this, how we're wanting to journey to go to her. So I like that. She talks about myths, not only Inanna, because, you know, you're thinking Inanna because of the descent, okay, the 7-gate descent. But, you know, Persephone, Psyche, she uses other myths to tell that the journey to the underworld isn't just a one mythos, it isn't defined by one mythos. There's a whole bunch of them that do these journey to the dark goddess, journey to the underworld, and how to get back, okay? Now, this is a revolutionary book for me, because in all the years of journeying to the underworld and going to the realm and the domain of the dark goddess, mine being Inanna, Ereshkigal, and Persephone, I do the underworld. I even have underworld beads. Like, I've made a set of prayer beads to journey with. And of course, as an abstract, in an abstract expressionist way, I journey with, like, to commune with all of the deities that reside and have gone and come and blah, blah, blah. So, I like that. Anyway, I like the mapping and the story. I like the other mythos involved, yada, yada, yada. How you can prepare, because you don't just go, I got 5 minutes, I'm going to journey to the underworld. You know, it doesn't work like that. I like how Jane lets us know that just because you got 30 minutes to meditate doesn't mean that you're going to journey to the underworld. Then the next part, we descend. Inanna's descent, yada, yada, yada. Her own Inanna story. See, I like how she puts in her own stories, because it really shows us in some instances what she has done, right? And what she could have changed, what she knows in her heart that she could have changed, what she could have done differently. And recording it in this way makes me feel, it made me feel like I was reading a diary entry. I'm gonna tell you what, I bawled my freaking eyes out at the part where she's losing her she talks about her descent, and she's, you know, losing things, right? And she's ritualized this, and she takes off her wedding ring, which is very much an identity, feels like an identity crisis, taking off that wedding ring. Mine's the same way. After almost 20 years of marriage and never taking the damn thing off, you're like, but it's what it represents. Can you lose your husband? Can you lose your kids? And when she got to the part about losing her child, not that anything happened to him in the real world, but it's like, can I give these things up that I identify with as being a mom, a wife, you know, a sister, a mother, whatever. And it's like all these things that we identify with, we have to somehow let go in the instance of the ritual, right? I bawled my fucking eyes out. It was really profound, okay? Part 3, we're in the underworld now, okay? So we have stages, just like a normal journey, okay? Path, walk in, whatever, okay? So we descend, that we're not even there yet. We're not even there. We're just descending. We're falling like Lucifer, okay, in Paradise Lost. And then all of a sudden we wake up from this like dreamy fall, right? This dreamy descent that's kind of like, oh, what, you know, it's like lucid kind of a thing. And then we realize all of a sudden, okay, we're here now. It's so interesting to know that there's a descent, and then you're here in the underworld, and then you have to ascend, okay? And we'll get there, okay? But it's such a, I don't know, I just felt really connected with this book that way, because what we want to do is we want to get to the underworld, but then some of us, especially when I was starting out, okay, I would meditate about it, and I would have like these vivid daydream things about it, and then come out of my reverie, so to speak, and it would be like, okay, yeah, sure, I was there, but I didn't do anything. I may have saw something. I don't know. It was like a shade of something, like an apparition maybe, but I don't know what it was like a dream, right, that you can't really catch, like smoke. And this, I feel like going through the stages like this, mapping it out, making it a journey in and of itself, instead of just a meditation, ritualize all the stages, we're really gonna get somewhere. You know, and then when we're in the underworld, we can actually do things. It becomes like a lucid dream, a lucid meditation then, because we can actually do something. We can wake our mind's eye up and go, we're here, let's do some shit. Let's meet Cerberus, okay? And I felt that. I felt that really, really good. Then part 4, okay, is coming up from the underworld. In all of my years, I think I was going to say this before, but in all my years of journeying, the ascent is one of the crazy parts of the journey. Because again, all of this is very dreamlike, right? What did I see something? Did I not? Did I commune with something? Did I not? And then you come out and you take notes of what, it's like having, in your journal or however you record. And the ascent feels like it didn't happen. Like all of a sudden we're back. But like I said, ritualizing, having that be part of the journey instead of just waking up and going, oh shit, what was that? Ritualizing the ascent, just as important as the descent. I've never seen this before. I've never seen the emphasis on ritualizing each step of the journey and how it makes it important, how it makes every part and stage important. I've never seen that before. Because we can wake ourselves up and it'd be like the journey is over. Okay? And then somehow, some way, we have possibly even the descent and the ascent. We've diminished it in a way. But making both of those bookends just as important as the what we're doing in the underworld, if anything, like especially if we have an intent that we're going down there to dredge up some crap that we need, okay, to dredge up. I don't know. I liked it. So, ritualizing the ascent in this way, I really felt that. I really felt it. So, I'm going through, and I marked a couple of things that I wanted to share. There's a ritual about placing your ear to the ground. It is in the preparing for the descent section. And it says the intention of this ritual is to help you recognize the call of the underworld. Because sometimes, let's say there isn't an intention, a specific intention, like, hey, I need to go and talk to Arishka Gal about something. I need to go and let go some things that identify me as like INANNA, right? I need to become the seed. There was a section here with Persephone about the fact that when she eats the seeds, she becomes the seed to be placed in the ground, watered and nurtured to grow into something anew, because she was the goddess of spring, okay? And then she became the fucking queen of the underworld, okay? And she had to ingest the seeds, become the seed to grow this new person that she was. Mind-blowing, okay? Mind-blowing. I loved that a lot, how there's a way we can almost psychoanalyze the myths to fit the journey. But anyway, back to this. Sometimes the intention is just to hear and heed the call. Sometimes they're going to call us because our egos and our brains are telling us, hey, something ain't right. Something ain't right in your life, but you're ignoring it. You're ignoring the call because this and this and this and this and distractions and blah, 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 right? Sometimes you need, especially if you have an active relationship with some of these deities or the underworld as a domain, right? If you have an active relationship with these things, like me, okay? Let's just, for example, I know that sometimes they'll call me. It's a call from the universe. It's a call from the chaos and void. It's a call from Persephone. It's a call from Arishka Gal. It's a call from Hecate, right? And I'm like, I don't want to answer the phone, It'll be like that sometimes because I'll be sitting there and I'm like, I will commune with you in a little while. Can I light your candle tomorrow? And it's just because you allow, and I've allowed the life to get me down. Okay, I mentioned in one of my latest videos about magic is where, I'll leave it below. There's been times in my life, it's recently, where stress and it builds up, it snowballs, right? And then I'm like, I didn't do a freaking magical thing for any of this crap. Not one thing. It just sat on my shoulders like the weight of the world, and I didn't magic take the wheel at all. How dare I? And there was a point in that the underworld called me. Like, hey, can you come visit? Can you come visit? Can you come talk to us for a second? And I just kept ignoring the call. I kept hitting the take it to voicemail, you know? Which pisses them off. It does. Because then they get to this place where they're like, I don't want to call you back. And then it'll be weeks. And then when you call them, they're like, oh, fuck you. You know? So it is like a real relationship that way. Okay, so anyway. But this ritual, I marked the fuck up because it says placing your ear to the ground. You want to be able to be open and receptive to the call. Even if you do, sometimes you have to ignore it, okay? Because sometimes life does get in the way. You don't have, wherever you're at, you don't have time to be like, oh, I got my travel altar with me and let's do this, It doesn't happen like that. Sometimes you got to get through that ball game or get through a party at your parents' house or whatever, okay? Sometimes you got to wait. So it's okay sometimes to do that, but if you know that it's your ego that's driving you forcing that call from the underworld to voicemail, then maybe, yeah, something's got to give. And ritualizing the openness that you share with the underworld in this relationship, you're creating a ritual, or Jane is, okay? Jane is creating this ritual so that you can be open, and placing your ear to the ground is a perfect name for this ritual because it touched the part of me that has to send the call to the universe to voicemail sometimes. So, I mean, and Jane goes through all the steps, yada, yada, yada. Okay, next section was descending into the underworld. I highlighted this. I don't know what it is yet. Once the excess is gone, and when we're talking about the underworld, nearly everything is excess, including possessions, relationships, habits, personality, activities, status, and just about anything else that isn't pure being. There's bliss. How fantastic is that? I think that in this section, descending, Jane is talking about what we're losing, what we're going to give up to make the journey. And how once Inanna reaches Ereshkigal, her entire, it's like she scalped herself. She skinned herself alive to get there, It's painful. She doesn't want to lose her lapis and her pearls and her beads, anything that makes her powerful and beautiful and her status, right? There are things in our lives that, again, like I said, we identify with that make us who we are. We have to let it go. Everything is excess. Everything down there is too much. Next line I highlighted was, if we think of the descent as a labor, laboring to give birth to ourselves. I cried at this, okay? A year and a half ago, I gave birth, okay? Excuse me. A year and a half ago, I gave birth, and I can map out the stages of that. The exact stages of that. How it felt. How each stage felt. And there's a part of this in descending into the underworld, using the analogy of birth, okay, it hit home with me because I know what that feels like, all right? Going through, I'll say active labor, which is, for whoever doesn't know, starts at about 6 centimeters dilation, okay? You're in active labor. Once that hits, what happened to me was I just sat and had like severe menstrual cramps. I just sat in the bed and just kind of waited through them, And then my contractions got higher, or worse and worse, or shorter and shorter, okay? Shorter and shorter between each one. And I remember grabbing my husband's hand, and then all of a sudden it was like every pore in my body dripped out sweat. My entire body was covered in sweat, like in the blink of an eye, okay? And I looked at him and I said, I'm in active labor now, because I was planning on just staying here until I couldn't help it anymore. But my entire body broke out in sweat, and you have this thought. I had this thought, like, when it gets to that pain level, that whatever pain level you think you can't take, your body breaks out into a sweat, okay? You've broken a bone, whatever the most painful thing you've been through, your body breaks out in the sweat. It's like it's the adrenaline, right? And all your pores open up at once. And your mind is saying, we've never done this before. In my case, I had done it before, so I knew what to expect. But I remember that high pain, and your brain automatically goes, we just won't do it. We'll just be pregnant forever. You know, there's a moment, okay? Tell me if you've experienced this. There's a moment in your pain threshold where your brain goes, we just won't do it. But in the book, she talks about that. She talks about that moment you hit that wall and you're like, I'm not going to do it. We'll just sit here and be pregnant forever. We'll just keep the baby in. And just like a birth, the only way out of that pain is through it. The only way out of that pain is through it. Especially in my case, okay? Now we have medicine and stuff like that. For me, the last two babies, I didn't have medicine. So, there's that, okay? Not from one of trying. You keep thinking, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. And then there comes another point where you're like, the only way out is through. You gotta just do it. And it literally feels like a light switch in the brain. I mean, if you haven't had a child naturally, I mean, not naturally, I mean, without meds. I don't know how else to explain it, but Jane explains it very, very well in this book about there being this switch between, I'm not going to do this, I'm just going to be pregnant forever. And then the switch goes to another one. I gotta plow through, you know? And it's literally like a switch. And the descent into the underworld, as painful as it is to lose that status and lose all of those, you know, through the 7 gates, the only way is through. You know, sure, you can back up and go back the other way, but you won't get to the underworld. You won't go through. We're not going to let you. All the minions, all the gatekeepers. So I really liked that analogy. She also talks about shortcuts. There being shortcuts, right? Like sometimes through meditation, through ritual, you can find a shortcut. I liked that also. It does say that there's not a shortcut in the ascension. So I like that as well. Still ritualizing it, you know? I marked this. Still, at the 6th gate, Inanna's lapis measuring rod and line is taken from her. It was used for measuring out the fields, for settling disputes. It was her authority. I've always had authority, the conviction of my beliefs. People think I know what I'm talking about. I think I know what I'm talking about. Even when I'm making it up. I can work, measure, and count. I'm good at getting things done. Now the idea that I could know what is happening in any larger sense than this exact moment in the teeth of the 6th gate, the laughable idea that the future is mine to choose, or that I have any power at all to affect the sequence of events in the world, or even in my life, I give up. I lay it down. I am adrift on the dark breeze, a speck of dust blown towards the 7th gate. I stare at the floor. The draft of underworld tunnels wafts on me. Otherwise, I might have stayed put for centuries till I turned into dust myself. She's talking about her journey, her descent. She becomes so raw in her. In relinquishing her excess, she becomes so raw that it feels like she's just drifting. She's adrift. She doesn't know who this raw being is. God, so powerful, okay? So powerful. And then in the underworld, I think I highlighted something else. Yeah, this Persephone and the seeds thing. Thus Persephone, who ate seeds, becomes a seed herself, buried and reborn each year. She becomes a generative being. Oh! This book was phenomenal. Going on journeys from now on will feel a little bit different because I'll be thinking about this book. I'll be thinking about my own journey, how I've done it in the past. Did I only get halfway through? Right? Try to ritualize each step and see what that does. See what happens. So I hope y'all pick this book up. Journey to the Dark Goddess by Jane Meredith. I hope y'all liked my review. I hope y'all having a wonderful day. Much love.